Hi, it's Dr. Denise here at Microdose U for another episode on women's health and wellness. I hope you're doing well today. Here in the Northeast, it is supposed to get particularly cold. It has been a very difficult winter in terms of the cold, but particularly the forecast for tomorrow. They're talking about dangerous wind chills. I am, and this it may seem irrelevant to the whole reason I'm here with you today, but I'm going to ask you to stay till the end. I always say I'm going to keep it short. I try to keep these around 10 minutes, 15 minutes the most. And I'm actually going to talk about what I just said about the cold because it really is a game changer. I can't control the weather, but I have a lot of control over how I'm going to respond. And it's like a life changing, really quick strategy that I'm going to share with you. And so this relates to that. Hang on to the end, and I'll talk about this really quick idea that's very helpful, really quick strategy. What I want to do is answer one specific question that came, and it was actually it was someone that I was working with, and I have gotten this question before, so I thought that it would be a good question for here. And please continue to send the questions because that, as I've said before, that really does help me to really just answer what you're all thinking about. So keep those questions coming. Always look at the show notes for sign up for Patreon and WhatsApp. And of course, if you want to get that specific one-on-one coaching, certainly let us know. We are here for you. Reach out to me, reach out to Dr. Dave. So the question that came up in a recent conversation, and it was related to another question somebody wrote in about, which is, do psychedelics cause weight gain? And of course, women in general are looking at not gaining weight, although I will say that sometimes psychedelics are very much a treatment now for people that are underweight, that are trying to gain weight. So, but here's the short answer. Psychedelics don't affect directly in a linear way. Microdosing psychedelics does not affect weight. So using these medicines, psilocybin, LSD, is not going to cause you to gain or lose weight. Now, here's the little bit more detailed answer, and the reason why it can be so helpful in health as well as weight maintenance. When someone has stress and trauma, depression, something that we see with like eating disorders, there are men, but a lot of women who come forward with eating disorders, late teens, early 20s, and throughout life, 30s, 40s, where there's difficulty with eating patterns. And we see that in where women don't eat, they have a distorted body image. And then we also see where there's that sort of binging, purging cycle. So there's been a lot of research in the use of psychedelics to address eating disorders. And the reason for that, again, as I said, it's not a direct physiological cause, but let's remember what psychedelic medicines help us with. They're going to reset and restore a healthy relationship, brain function, and in our body, in terms of our relationship to hunger, satiation, food consumption. And so the reason that using these medicines can be helpful in establishing a healthy weight, whether someone's underweight or overweight, is because of that mitigating factor, which is the physiology, the psychology of how we're functioning. That's what gets reset. So things like shame and trauma, rigid patterns, rigid thought patterns, rigid even patterns when it comes to control of food, etc., worry about that. That's what gets, kind of reset and can be the correction that helps with weight. So again, I want to restate very clearly, one of the central questions and symptoms that I get about perimenopause. Women who have not had a weight issue will suddenly gain weight, and there's all kinds of physiology. Remember that estrogen changes can affect so much, and this is where the psychedelics have that really healing impact. So women in perimenopause and menopause will ask me, is this going to cause weight gain? And it is not going to cause weight gain. If anything, the corrective, restored physiology, brain reset is going to help regulate the weight so that there's possibly a kind of a restoration to more of a healthy weight before a woman may have gained some weight due to perimenopause or menopause. So there's a lot I can talk about in another episode about other strategies, staying really hydrated, eating good whole foods. All of that's very important. But I just wanted to answer that quick question that psychedelics absolutely will not cause weight loss or weight gain. So that's a very important point for us to recall. Okay, so now thanks for staying on. I'm definitely making an effort to keep this short today. So I said about the sort of in the beginning about the cold and how I'm kind of unable to control. Obviously, it's a silly thing to say. We can't control the weather. And yet I have control. And Dr. Dave always talks about this statement. He says, he is in control. I am in control. Those four, if you go, I am in control, so those are very powerful words. And I was always taught that we are not in control, and that realizing we're not in control helps us to let go and flow. I kind of have a little bit of an exception. I take exception with that. I do believe that we are not in control of events in the world, the weather, etc. I can decide how I'm going to relate to those events, how that's going to impact me. So that's within my life, within my being. I can decide where I'm going to go with that. I have certainly things can impact. And in fact, if you're having some sort of upset or reaction to whether it seems benign, but the cold weather or events in the world or something in your personal life, or you don't even know why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Yeah. You can't maybe control that, and you get upset, we say triggered, right? That though becomes what I always say. When I see a red flag, I say, no, now the green flag is go. I say, okay, Denise, go to the strategy. So here's the strategy. And there's a lot of strategies with this, but this is the quick one. And it requires a moment of imagery. And there are some people who will tell me that they have a hard time imagining. So if that's a concern of yours, let me know. We'll come up with other strategies. But this is the words. And if you can't see the images, say the words anyway, because it's going to your cells in your body, and all the energy around you is going to hear this. So here's the strategy. The image for me that always comes to mind is sort of like an octopus, with all the, kind of going around the octopus. So when there is, say, I'm concerned about the really cold weather. So the one sort of, I get pulled in that direction. I'm concerned about money in my life or something. I'm making some things up here. I get pulled in that direction. I read something upsetting today, and that upset me. Now another direction. You can kind of feel like the octopus with all of this going on. So the imagery is not to picture all that, by the way. I'm just using that as an example. So the octopus, and then getting pulled in those directions, and imagining taking all of that energy and kind of, in a certain sense, kind of clipping off all that energy and taking all the parts of the octopus and wrapping them around you. So it's sort of like picturing that almost like this energetic, supportive, surround yourself. Some people will say an energetic hug, kind of wrapping that around you. So taking that moment, picturing all that coming around you. You do not have to picture getting pulled in all these directions. You can picture kind of just being, and then wrapping that around you. If you don't like the octopus image, some people use a starfish. I even like kind of the rays of the sun. That might feel nice, particularly for us here in the Northeast when it's so cold, to kind of like take those rays of the sun and just sort of wrap them around me. It may sound kind of simplistic, but I can tell you it's a game changer. It changes the energy around us. Quantum physics tells us all the time that what we think, what we say, and what we image is going to have a huge impact. So that's a little strategy. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you try it and how it feels. I know that it's definitely a game changer for me. So thanks for being here today. I hope this is helpful. Let us know if there's anything else that you'd like to see answered, and we'll see you again soon.